We hope you enjoy listening to this podcast of St. Louis on the Air, brought to you by University College at Washington University, with undergraduate and graduate programs part-time, evening, and online. University College at Washington University, offering world-class education within reach.
And welcome back. The St. Louis Symphony Orchestra's new season begins this weekend. It's a season of transition as music director-designate Stéphane Deneuve moves toward replacing David Robertson. Joining me in studio to discuss this new chapter in the orchestra's history are Marie-Hélène Bernard, president and CEO of the orchestra. Erik Finley is its vice president of artistic and operations. Thank you both so much for being with us.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having us.
Our pleasure to be here.
Good to see you. Marie-Hélène, let me begin with you. This is called a time of transition. How does that impact this season, or does it?
It's a very exciting time. Stéphane Deneuve was appointed on June 7th, 2017, and immediately started working with our team on planning future seasons. So as a music director designate this year, he brings four weeks of program. It's an exciting time. It's also a time where we can reflect on the extraordinary legacy that this orchestra has entering its 139th season, and really truly shaping a dialogue with our musicians that's truly meaningful. And this is what this season is about, from our family to yours, showcasing the depth of our amazing orchestra and how it connects in many ways to our community.
That's your slogan for this year, from our family to yours, right? What does that actually mean? Erik?
Well, the entire season was based around ideas from our musicians, and even the focus on artists throughout the season. You'll see that we have 3 titled conductors involved in this season: our resident conductor, Jim Anu, our music director designate, Stéphane Deneuve, of course, and then Leonard Slatkin as well. And even when you look at the artists, the soloists throughout the season, you'll see members of our extended family. So many soloists that have become dear favorites of the audience, our audiences here in St. Louis, and our musicians as well. But each and every program has some sort of influence from the feedback that we got from our musicians, whether it's specific repertoire or general ideas about what they feel like resonates with the audience. So this is where the whole idea of family is based.
So it's pretty much business as usual, except that you're changing the maestro eventually. The designate, I'm a little confused by that because the announcement was made, as you said, in June of 17, was it?
Yeah.
Why is it taking so long to bring him in?
It's typical in our industry. Conductors, music directors, they have commitments years in advance. I mean, we plan several years in advance, 2-3 years out. So it's a matter of commitments that they have, and it's very frequent, and actually it's quite healthy. Imagine that as you are about to make a commitment to marry someone, there's the engagement period, which leads to marriage. So see it in a similar fashion as the time where we actually bring Stéphane along in also understanding his philosophy, what he wants to bring to this orchestra, this community, but also it's a dialogue. So our team is very, very closely fleshing out, developing ideas, revisiting things we've done, bringing new things, and always focusing on what is the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra is about, what's our unique voice, and what talent do we have on stage, and what is this community aspires to. I think we are not programming in a vacuum. They were programming and thinking about this community, the past, the future. I think it's a very exciting time. So I wouldn't say business as usual, because it should never be business as usual. We're artists, and I think we give back to communities in meaningful ways, and I think we need to constantly challenge ourselves with the concert experience, what we program, who we invite, because every single concert needs to be an event.
Is it my imagination, and going through the lineup for this season, I seem to notice a greater female presence, if you will, more women. Is that something maybe I just was attentive to at the time, or is it actually happening? More of the headliners are women, it seems to me. Erik?
It's possible, more than usual. Certainly, we have several women from the orchestra featured prominently as soloists, of course, and a couple of composers as well that are renowned and up and coming right now that we're really excited to present works of. Certainly more female conductors than usual on this season, and part of that is because we have a resident conductor, Jim Anu, who we believe greatly in, and we're excited to start a season with, and connects with the orchestra at a very deep level. But also Nathalie Stutzmann as well, world-renowned vocalist that is coming back again to lead the orchestra in a program of the Brahms Requiem in March. And also Karina Kanalakis, who is a young female conductor who is just in high demand and just received an appointment for a major post in Europe as well. So we're really excited to see her.
Let's talk about some of the highlights. How are you beginning, Marie-Hélène?
We're opening this weekend with Jim Anu, our resident conductor, and it's a favorite of mine because I was 12 years old when I first heard Elgar Enigma Variations, which is a great piece, and it's one that speaks of friendships, of characters, and how music truly is life. So I think Gemma is going to bring a really interesting take on this, and she also and I can't pronounce his name, so I'm going to seek Erik's help, a young pianist. Please.
Behzad Abdurrahmanov.
I can't imagine why I'd have problems with that.
I've been practicing. Erik knows him quite well, I think. I've never had the pleasure to hear him, but he's bringing the Grieg Piano Concerto, one of the favorites. But he's truly an amazing talent. And what this program speaks of is how this orchestra has, from the day it was founded 139 years ago, continued to nurture emerging talent and establish works. So, for example, we're featuring Aaron J. Kernis's Musica Celestis, and he's one of the most inspiring American composers. I still consider him young, but he's probably in his 50s. Yeah. So again, a beautiful opening, and again, the theme of From Our Family to Yours, that music brings this connection of the music is something you share. This is something you experience with others, but also it's a very personal experience. So we're very excited about this program performed this Saturday night, which is the opening of our live broadcast series with St. Louis Public Radio, and of course Sunday afternoon.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I was certainly going to. That's something we always look forward to here, and we've got a staff dedicated to that.
Oh, and I must say it's one of our favorite partnerships. Not like we can have favorites, but the passion, the dedication, and I think the following that we find from audiences, for example, on Twitter, it's palpable. And I think when I say to bring a community together through music, I always encourage listeners, listen to us on Saturday night. Even if you're busy, sometimes I'm home, I'm cooking, I'm listening to broadcasts, I learn things, but there's so much joy in sharing this experience, and people truly express their support for St. Louis Public Radio and the Symphony in ways that make St. Louis truly great. So this is my message to your listeners, is to be active and speak of that joy and the importance of institutions.
When you have a kind of the changing of the guard, as is happening this time, is there a fall off in subscribers?
We don't see it, and I think again it's a relationship that we build over time. So it's hard to tell really. I think we have brought new people in because they have watched Stéphane since 2003 and are excited about him. I think essentially that people also come for the music, and they have a deep attachment to our orchestra, to our chorus, to the artists who grace the stage. So I think the institution's role is to ensure that, of course, artistic vision and leadership is truly important, and we need to make sure that our music director is someone who's highly recognizable, that the orchestra and the audience feels drawn to, that the community recognizes. If you think of baseball, and I apologize for making the analogy, but I always love that analogy, is the coach is really important, but the team is really what draws your fans, and your fans are going to be as committed to your players and the team on the field as they are to a coach.
You can never go wrong by bringing up baseball in St. Louis.
I try.
What will Stéphane be doing? He's doing 4 concerts this year. What will he be doing?
Well, there's an arc to his programming this year, and I would like to invite Erik to elaborate on this as a partner in crime in fleshing out these programs.
Yeah, when we first started talking about what Stéphane would do this season, this is a conductor that's been with this orchestra 8 times before. So we said, okay, we want to take some of that and some of what he does so beautifully, but also introduce new repertoire for him to our audiences. And for Stefan and the orchestra get to experience some of these new pieces together. So he's described this as his engagement season. And really, there's a thread of love that runs throughout some of these programs, not just music that is about love, but music that he loves and music that he is deeply craving performing with this orchestra. Every time we would sit down and talk about these programs, and including as we talk about programs in the 1920 season, almost every conversation with Stefan ends with, "Oh, we've talked about it. I can't wait to perform it now." So there's great anticipation.
We've had him on this program, and I've found him a terrifically engaging guy with a lot of energy. Yeah. I think he's going to be a big hit in this town and connect very well with the folks in St. Louis, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. And I think he cares so much about the audience and creating that connection and also building that trust, that no matter what Stefan programs, that he wants the audience to trust him because it's a great piece to play, because this orchestra plays it well, because it's going to open your, horizon to something that's what the experience should be. It's, yes, hearing things you like and you enjoy, but also probably experiencing something you didn't know would exist.
And Leonard Slatkin is back.
Yes.
As a matter, isn't he moving to St. Louis?
Yes, he has moved back.
He
has moved back this summer, and he now calls St. Louis. He has always called St. Louis home, but he is back in town, and we are welcoming Leonard for 2 weeks in a row in the spring of 19. We are marking 50 years of his debut with this orchestra, so That's a very important milestone. And Leonard is a fabulous communicator. It's someone who has carried this orchestra in his heart and will always do that. And it's a refreshing 2 week with him. And we're commissioning Jeff Beal to write a song cycle for soprano with Hila Plittman, a very interesting artist. If you go on YouTube and check her performances, she's quite something.
Erik, how long does it take to set all this up? I mean, it's a very complex program about over a long period of time. You just don't make a phone call and say, hey, can you come on in on the 15th? It's got to be tedious.
Sure. Well, to give you an idea, we're already working on the 2021 season right now. Mm-hmm. And Stefan's weeks are already set in 2021. We'll start looking at his weeks in 21-22. So then we move to conversations about what guest conductors we'd like to invite back or give their debut with us. We'll start discussing we're already discussing Stefan's artists for the 2021 season. So it's a 2 to 3 year process. And even then, it's exciting sometimes once you book a debut with a new conductor or someone that's returned. Sometimes you will fuss over a program for months to make sure you get it right. Just that particular program, where it fits into the season, if it says what we want to say at that point in the season, and if it fits into our subscription packages the way we really want them to give each subscriber a unique experience and a broad experience. But sometimes you'll sit down and talk with a conductor about a program, and the program comes together in 30 seconds. You know exactly what you want to do.
You have the advantage in that the music doesn't change very much. I mean, you're basically dealing with music that's been around for a while. It's not like you have to follow trends. Or do you?
That's a good question. I think that the breadth and the depth of music is quite phenomenal, actually. I would say that it comes across centuries. And there's always new things that come up. And, remember that, let's take a Beethoven Symphony No. 5. You could program the same piece and it will never sound the same. Even, I mean, there's so many layers and colors and all that. And I think the way you put a program together will color your experience differently. So I don't know if you want to add to this.
Yeah, you're right. Programming, cooking with the same ingredients all the time. Working with Beethoven, Tchaikovsky, Mozart, Mahler. It is the easy part. The hard part is discovering the new Beethovens and the new Mahlers and the new Mozarts. And this is what we toil over, and it's trial and error. And that's part of the joy of experiencing new music with an audience is Stefan and each artist and conductor that we work with, we fuss over what the right way is to combine new works with old and help those pieces enter the repertoire.
I always tell people, if you did not know when the music was written and you came to a concert hall to hear the music and you close your eyes, it becomes irrelevant almost when it was written. And actually music from the 19th century could sound very, very current, and music written today could sound dated. I mean, it's a fascinating process.
What are you doing to cultivate a younger audience, your future audience, if you will? That's got to be important. I know you're doing a lot of movies again this year, which is always fun.
Yeah, and we actually see a lot of younger audiences for classical concerts, classical music, not so much necessarily always more popular music. I think younger audiences, and younger is broadly defined. You know, if you define younger as 18 to let's say 45, I could find 5 different types of kind of customer behavior and segmentation in that group. So it varies quite a bit. But I think to be communicating the value of music, the experience they're going to hear, what the connections that they can make to understand, as you would do with an exhibition, as you would do with a play, is music speaks to human beings. And how do you carve out events or an environment around it that makes it interesting to them? And oftentimes we have an amazing group sales initiative, and we encourage people to use this, because coming to a concert with a group of friends, it's a different experience. Because for some people, the most important piece is after the fact to talk about it and talk about the experience and sharing about the experience.
Only a little over a minute left. Eric, how about kids? I go back to Leonard Slatkin's days and the kids' orchestra. That was always very popular. Doing any more of that?
Yeah, I mean, we have a robust family series and young people's concerts during the school day as well. And they're selling very, very well right now. We actually we wish we had more availability of some of these concerts. But, a special thing that people often forget is that we run our own youth orchestra as well. So this orchestra has a very deep commitment to youth in this community.
Mm-hmm. Marie-Hélène, what is the must-see event of this new season?
Oh, my gosh, every weekend there's something special. No, I'm serious. Every program has a gem. Every program uncovers certain aspects of the work we do. My gosh, what is? Well, obviously, any of the Stéphane Weeks is going to be special, because I think he's an extraordinary musician, special communicator. He does bring joy on the stage, and I think that's something that our orchestra really cherishes. Any favorite for you?
Yeah, I'm really excited about both of Gemma's programs. She has a program this week that is core repertoire and one beautiful piece of new American music, and then some unusual works in her program in April, all with some French influence as well.
You guys seem very excited, as well you should be. You're off and running this Saturday, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, have a great season, and I'm sure we'll see you during the course of it. It's nice seeing you. Marie-Hélène Bernard and Erik, nice to see you. Erik Finley.
Support comes from Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to sustainable and sound conservation of the state's forests, which support more than 41,000 Missouri jobs, resulting in a $10 billion industry. ChooseWood.com.